You are treating people. And the profession, and I say it out of love and respect, we've moved into this mindset that our enemy is medicine, which we have nothing to do with medicine. That isn't the goal of a chiropractor. The goal of a chiropractor is to identify and reduce vertebral subluxation so the nervous system can express itself, communicate itself within the body.
This episode of the Chiropractors Edge is brought to you by Mango Voice. Mango Voice is an enterprise-grade VoIP system based in the cloud. Whether you're at the office or on the go, Mango gives you the tools you need to engage customers like never before. This is a product that my team can't live without, and neither should yours. Welcome to the Chiropractors Edge. I am your host, Dr. Jake Hansen. Doc, you are here because you want to create an abundance of time, financial freedom, and to have joy in your life. And that is why every single week we bring to you the best of the best, those who are absolutely passionate about your success. Doc, you need to have on your board of advisors people who surround you that are stoked for your success, that want you to grow. You have to have this. There are 8 billion people on this world. You need to have people who want you to thrive. And that is why we got Dr. Joe Borio hailing now from the land of Florida.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Officially.
Man, so 35 years in practice.
Yeah.
So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you still hold some of chiropractic's records of seeing the most people in a day. So, and again, guys, what we're going to share, when you are passionate about something, Joe and I were talking in the green room, just lighting it up, man. I think the only thing that we were really missing, apart from talking about, God, chiropractic, and our life and passion, was a couple of good cannolis, right?
Oh, yeah.
All my good brothers and sisters in New York and New Jersey,
Yes.
The first thing they give me now is a good cannoli. But hey, man, so we were talking about passion. When you are passionate about something, you want to smash records. You want to do great things. And again, what we're going to share is what is possible, and to be able to figure out like where you're, where do you want to grow? But man, so you hold some of chiropractic's records with daily adjusting, with weekly adjusting. I mean, some incredible things. Your daily record for patients adjusted is 787 patients that's incredible.
Yeah. So we saw right around 700. We would see that 1,800 in a week, and there's some other, to be fair, Jim Sigafus was seeing some pretty big numbers.
Oh, of course.
The Bain brothers out of New Hampshire, they were seeing some with their sister, and Bob Schiffman as well. So those are some great names to be included in. I'm honored, and if I wasn't the top, I'm honored just to be mentioned in any of their names. So yeah, we did some pretty incredible things in practice, no doubt about it. So
I love that, man. And so you've been there. You obviously you're passionate about what you do, and we'll talk about chiropractic consulting and now. Sure. So after 35 years. You've sold your practice, and now you're dedicated to helping chiropractors to do what they want to do. If as far as financial freedom and all those things go, you could step away and disappear on a yacht, do your own thing. But why do what you do now? You're not doing it for the money. Why are you doing what you're doing now? Why create chiropractic consulting? Why are you doing it, man?
I think one of the pillars of our future success is the success of chiropractors. Most people don't want to go into a profession and struggle or be apathetic or frustrated or angry or any of those things. And I saw a lot of that starting to happen. And when I was in practice and, just wonderful things were happening, which was a culmination of so many phenomenal mentors in my life, my dad and mom being, two of them. But I had so many other docs that were struggling. And when I got to a point where I was doing really well, I almost couldn't figure out, like, how can you be struggling? Like it became very easy for me. And then when I would talk to them, I would realize, like, wow, they're really, they're not even doing some of the basic things. And out of respect to them, they would come to my office and, I'd have a bent pen, or they'd look at my business card, or they'd see something on the wall and they think, oh, that's the secret. That's what Joe's doing that is making him really busy. And it had nothing to do with that. And I realized that, protocols, procedures, mindset, purpose, mission, why, all of those things were really what were driving the success of the practice. And that was so absent within the people that I talked to and within the profession as a whole. So it was then that I said, hey, Reggie was probably my biggest mentor as a chiropractic mentor, Reggie Gold. And,
Wow.
he started coaching while he was practicing. So that's what I did. So about 12 years ago, I started Chiropassion, and then I just started working with docs, and then stepping away from the practice. The plan had always been, I'm going to give 100% now, just like I did in practice, 100% now to the docs that we work with to push the profession forward.
Man, that is all. That's so fantastic, man. Doc, if you're listening right now, what is your mindset being able to go to practice? Is it a get to mindset? Is it a have to mindset? Before I bring on a guest, I ask a lot of people a lot of questions.
Yes.
And I say, hey, we got Dr. Joe coming on the podcast. Here's some of his stats. And we had a bunch of people ask questions, and there were two groups of people. So docs who've been super successful, but they're getting burned out. Right, they're getting burned out, but they are financially. I mean, they're doing what they're having success. Second group are people who are just not. They're just not successful. They're struggling in practice massively. They're struggling for new patients. They're struggling with retention. They're struggling with, they're struggling to make ends meet. And then we have a lot of we have a lot of students that are starting practice. So what do you share, right? How do you truly have passion in what how have you developed the passion to that allowed you to have the level of success that you have today in private practice, and then now in your coaching career?
Well, a lot of mistakes along the way. I mean,
Okay.
you start, I think, I say ego, but I think a better word is pride. I didn't want to hire somebody when I got out of school, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I really, really struggled for a couple of years. And if it wasn't for my parents that were bankrolling my practice, I wouldn't have a practice. And my dad actually said, Jesus, there's got to be some people here that teach guys to be good in practice. And I joined a group called Cosmo Management, and then they had one of their speakers was Reggie Gold. So I didn't really resonate with Cosmo, but I resonated with Reggie. And then Reggie became my mentor and my coach. And then, that he really gave me the guide, if you will. So to handle those three groups, if you're a student, listen, and I say this out of love, you don't know what you don't know. And you come out thinking, out of prideful and excitement and enthusiasm, and you're going to hang a shingle and everybody's going to come walking in. I couldn't stress enough to work with a coach, a mentor. I mean, and I'm not trying to sound self-fulfilling. There's so many other people out there. I'm not the only guy out there. So I would definitely connect with somebody that resonates with you. For those people that are struggling in practice, it really comes down to some of those principles, those protocols, those procedures that I think we don't have. Some docs wing it. They go in and they're kicking the can, and you really need to start to develop in some protocols, procedures, working with somebody that's going to teach you. You already got the infrastructure in place. It's just a matter of setting the systems in place to bring people in and keep them in. You see some programs out there, they teach you new people, Facebook marketing and whatever. And that's great. You need new people, but you got to teach docs how to get them to follow their protocols. So you see some other coaches out there and there's, hey, I'm going to teach you how to close. Well, that's good, but then you got to know how to keep them, right? I mean, I could close a bunch of people, but if you go out 60, I mean, the average retention in the profession is 18. I mean, it's pathetic. So people are coming in for 18.
18 visits?
Yeah. So I could teach everyone to close, but then they're leaving. So you got a lot of docs who are, and again, I say this out of respect, but their goal to success is to shorten the recommendation period for their practice member in an effort to get them over the finish line to close. And then within 2 to 3 month care plans, maybe then I'm going to install or reinstate or have the discussion of wellness care. I don't agree with that at all, but that's what the profession's done. And then the other part is re-signs. Like, how do you keep somebody under lifetime care? So you really got 4 aspects that you gotta know how to bring them in, and you got to know how to keep them, and you got to know how to spread a message for them to know they got to be there for the rest of their life. And then for the other docs, I think like you're saying, they get burnt out. if I have two children, as exhausted as I was, maybe my hair is disheveled, I got my underwear on, I'm in the house just laying there on the couch, and my 4-year-old took off and was running towards a road with traffic. And I know in that moment that if he stepped on the road, he's going to get killed. Everything else goes out the window. There isn't a neuron in my brain that's thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go out. My neighbors are going to see me running in my underwear, or my hair is not right, or oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. You are going to break the 100-meter Olympic record in an effort to go save your child, right? Regardless of what's going on. And that's because it's about them and not yourself. So I find that if you're getting, and I say this out of love, but if you find that you're getting burnt or you're in a state of apathy, often we're making it more about us and what we get out of it rather than what we're there to give and serve. Einstein said, don't be a man of success first, be a man of value. So try to be a person of value first. And then, you know what? How are you going to be fatigued? How are you going to be tired? How are you going to be apathetic? How are you going to be burned out if you're going and making it about everyone else and you're spreading joy and the gift of chiropractic with everyone? You can't be. So we need to just kind of switch that around a little bit, and you'll find you'll get a lot more enthusiasm back in your practice. So
wow. So let's break that down, you guys. So huge. I mean, number one, and you shared. I mean, having one of the most successful, coaching and mentoring, agencies in chiropractic. You shared it there. Is there one way to close a person, Joe? Is there one way to do it? Right? No, there's not one way. Is there one, there's so many techniques in our profession. I mean, even the greats of our profession, they all address vertebral subluxation. And they addressed it, and then they chose their given technique. If it was upper cervical, it was Gonstead, if it was, whatever it was. But guys, there isn't one way, but you need to be able to understand, you need to assess the spine for vertebral subluxation. You need to be able to analyze it, detect it, and correct it. But you need to be able to have a strategy. You need to be able to have a blueprint on number one, how you're doing that, but then your business systems. I call it Wild West, where a lot of guys, you call it kick the can, right? I call it Wild West. Literally, you show up in your practice, you're like, how about this? How about that? How about, and sometimes things stick, but docs, if Joe could break down for you, if you're not bringing in new patients, whoa, he's got a strategy for that, and it's multiple strategies. Hey, if people are coming in for restorative care and then disappearing, oh, there's a strategy for that. Hey, if people are disappearing after wellness care, after a stint of wellness care, well, there's a strategy for that. But you need a strategy. So it's critical that you have a system. It's critical that you have a mentor. It's critical that you have a coach, because we don't understand. I mean, it's the old silly saying, you can't smell that you have bad breath. You can't, doc. You can't see when you're not successful. You need to have someone that can literally look over you. And there's a difference between a mentor and there's a major difference between a coach. There's a difference between the two. Dr. Joe and I've got both. We've got people who mentor us, So who are you surrounding yourself with, right? If you are getting burned out, and like you shared, you mean to tell me if your 4-year-old kid, if your kid is walking across the street, you couldn't all of a sudden become superhuman, jump out of a 3-story building, run across the street, break the Olympic record, right? So if you're losing that energy, you've lost focus, you've lost your passion. And I would dare say, what are you doing? What are you doing at night? What are you doing in the morning? What are you doing game day, right? Doc, I dare tell you, if you are burned out right now, what are you focusing on? Exactly. Did you, is it a problem watching a Netflix movie with your kids? Heck no. Like, it's fall time as we're recording this video. I have so many countless things we're doing with our kids, and it's great, but you better dang believe that before this podcast, I got my mind ready, right? I'm getting in my zone. Doc, if you're losing passion, you're not in the zone. What are you doing in the moments before game time comes? And you'll find that you get that passion of, I got to sprint across the street and save this person's life. Let's go over some of these strategies, Doc, right? So how does a doc find, so for you, so there might be docs out there that say, man, what you have, I want to see 787 patients a day, or, hey, I want to see 1,000 a day. But, for those who are wanting to find, to find their thing, how does one go about in chiropractic, truly, figuring out, like, how do we find, if we lack vision, how do we find our vision? What have you found the most successful way for your clients? For those who are kind of lost, who are kind of dabbling in everything, how do they find their vision? How do you help them find that?
Yeah, there's a great analogy story about the masons building a building. One guy went up and said, "What are you doing to one of the masons?" And he said, "I'm a mason. I'm laying bricks." And he went to another guy on the same job site and he said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm building a wall." I went to another guy and he says, "Hey, we're building a building." And then he went to the last guy who seemed the happiest and he said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I'm glad you asked." He said, "I'm actually a mason here, but we're building a church. And in this structure that we're building, we're going to literally change the lives of everyone that walks into this building, and in the hopes that the people in this church will actually lead that vibration to change and elevate the mindset and spirituality and the connection of Christ to the world." So which one feels most, if you will, purposeful, missionful, filled with mission when they go to work every day, right? So I think, knowing that story, have an intention and objective in your life. Like, what is it that you're trying to do? We can all make a living doing other things,
Sure.
make a living being chiropractors, right? But to be really fulfilled, like knowing what chiropractic is and what the intention and what the objective is it about a backache? Is it about removing subluxation? Or in the end, is it about reconnecting you to source and living a better life? I'm going to stay under care. We were talking about in the green room, as you call it, like treatment versus care. Like, am I treating you or am I caring for you? See, if I walk in for treatment, I walk in because I hurt, and only one thing is going to happen. I'm going to leave. I guarantee. So I walk in because my back hurts. Guess what? My back's going to feel better 90% of the time. Hey, thanks, Dr. Joe. You're great. I don't need you anymore. Hey, Dr. Joe, you know what? I've been coming in for a month or two. I really don't feel a whole lot better. I feel about the same. I'm going to leave. I come in for a few weeks. You know what? I'm feeling kind of sore. I'm feeling like worse. I'm going to leave. So once you start a treatment mindset, you are treating people. And the profession, and I say it out of love and respect, we've moved into this mindset that our enemy is medicine, which we have nothing to do with medicine. That isn't the goal of a chiropractor. The goal of a chiropractor is to identify and reduce vertebral subluxation so the nervous system can express itself, communicate itself within the body. So, Unital is the spirit of man, in the spirit of God. I mean, that's what D.D. Palmer discussed it. So if that's really what our goal is, obviously the more connected, the more healthy I am, the less likely I'm going to need drugs and surgery. But I'm going to drive to your office. I'm going to wait in line. I'm going to pay for it if it's going to give me a better life for the rest of my life. But if it's about an ailment, as soon as that ailment's gone, I'm gone. So you want to grow a practice and serve people. It doesn't mean you're never going to have people come in with a backache or a neck ache or whatever. But remember, you're a healthcare leader. So wherever you come in, my goal is to take you where you're at and help lead you to a higher level of thinking, of consciousness, to understand that, it's a requirement and a necessity for your nervous system to communicate in your body. And your body doesn't work better crooked. Your spine doesn't work better crooked. And the reality is the straighter is always better than crooked. So let's get your body straighter and healthier, and let's allow you and your children to live a better life. So if you're coming from more of that mindset, they're not all going to drink from the cup, but more and more will. And therefore your practice grows and they stay. They refer other people, family members, and then eventually a practice just explodes.
And that's huge, between caring for and treating for, right? The moment, the allopathic mindset again, and there's a season for it, right? There's a season for it. Chiropractic is a study of what causes man to live. What can we do to cause man to live, right? And as you shared, it's critical that we take people where they are and that we lead them. So I'm stealing that, Joe, because there's a good saying from some of our dear colleagues that, educate people on what they, or sell people what they want, educate them what they can have. I'm using what you've now shared. Yeah. Educate. Now, docs, educate people or sell them what they want. Sell them what they want, but lead them to what they can have, right? Yeah. Now, one thing that has never resonated with me, because now in the chiropractic philosophy, hands down, but people don't know what you know. And a lot of, and as you shared, a lot of, students, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. That's just a fact of it. But people don't know what you know. They don't know that they're going to be seeing miracles. Like yesterday, I had a few doctors' reports, ROFs, results visit, right? And I had two people back to back. Both of them super ecstatic about, life. They came in for problems. Both of them happen to be major low back issues, major low back issues that are conflicting and compounding major aspects of their life. And in that moment, so I sell them on what they want. Here's your problem. Look, see the X-ray. Here's your problem. Here's what's going on. This test I did here. You have vertebral subluxation here. Here's what's going on. So, but here's the funnest thing. And I start showing them people out in my hallways. I'm like, if you were to ask her what she's here for, she's been here for like 11 years. I doubt she can tell you what she came here for. But if you ask her now, she's going to tell you because she can garden every single week. She can garden from the first week of May to the very last weeks of October.
Yes.
Right. If you ask him why he's here, he'll tell you he can still play basketball with his grandkids at seven, at whatever, at 67. Right. And they're like, really? I said, go talk to people. My goal is I want your back. Yeah, I want your back pain gone. Right. Sell people what they want. It's critical. I mean, and there's so many strategies, not demeaning what they've gone through. I have a colleague or a patient who just came to see me from a dear colleague. And they said, listen, doc, man, this doc, he was so highly recommended. He's got YouTube videos and he's got like 300,000 followers. He goes, but I walked in with all these issues. And he told me, he goes, you know what? I don't care about your symptoms. I don't care about your low back. I don't care. He goes, all I'm going to do. And she goes, and he said this thing about like innate intelligence. And I'm dying. Like I'm almost suicidal with my pain. And I said, man, what a missed opportunity because this person doesn't know what that doc knows. And this doc's you and I both know him. He's an incredible doctor. But we need to take people where they are and lead them where they can be.
Correct. And I think, again, you have to understand, Sid Williams, one of my mentors, right? If they knew what we knew, they would do what we do, but they don't know what we do. So, don't judge them, and he had another great line. Again, I don't want to take credit for anyone else. And he, you say are you into chiropractic or is chiropractic into you? Right.
Yeah, baby.
So the reality is they don't know what we know. So my job is to take them, BJ called it transference of a conviction and the bigness of the fellow within. Like one page 158 or something like that. But he was talking about people calling chiropractic, like the chiropractors felt like they were selling. And he said, well, listen, it's not selling. You're transferring a conviction. You're transferring a principle. I'm not selling you math if I'm teaching you math in school. You don't know math. So I'm going to teach you geometry. It goes by certain principles, right? So there's certain rules. And I happen to have 33 of them in my book, right? So listen, let's talk about where you're at. Let's talk about what's happening in your body. And then let's talk about why that's most likely happening. And then let me get your attention to this that you don't know. I call it the 30-second drill. It's on YouTube. You can pull it up. And it just goes through a series of questions over 30 seconds where you could teach somebody chiropractic. Everyone knows chiropractic. They just don't know it as chiropractic. They know their brain tells their body what to do, right? They know I got one of these here because I'm coaching calls today, but I went to Home Depot and I bought one of these, right? So, hey, here's this. Your brain tells your body what to do. If this gets crooked, does it work better or worse? It works worse. Where do the nerves go? They go to my organs. So what happens to the organs? They work better or worse? They work worse. So am I getting healthier or sick? I'm getting sick. So what's my job? What's it called when it's out? Subluxation. I push on that to reduce it to allow these to communicate better. So they already know that. They know that their brain tells their body what to do and it's not going to work as good. They know they're sick if it's crooked. We just relate that to chiropractic, and then we get them to understand that my job is to adjust, to reduce that pressure, to allow better nerve flow, to allow their body to work. And who needs that? Everyone. See, we forget it's a requirement and a necessity in order to live a quality life without chiropractic care. I'm not negating anything else. I'm not negating modalities. I'm not negating nutrition. I'm not negating exercise. I'm not negating any of that. But I would never go to my dentist and go, hey, doc, before you hit that tooth, I've been having some trouble with my knee lately. Could you take a look at it? Like I would ask him for the referral of a good ortho, but I wouldn't ask my dentist to look at my knee. So I think out of full respect, it doesn't mean we don't have that knowledge. But if you really want to see a lot of people in practice and you really want to adjust a lot of people, keep it in your lane, as BJ taught me, and focus on chiropractic and adjustment and getting people reconnected. And man, I'll tell you what, it's amazing what happens. You start talking chiropractic, and guess what? Your practice grows. You start talking everything else, and all of a sudden your practice becomes a natural allopathy or a mishmash of everything else rather than, hey, if you can communicate, if you could talk to a room full of people that have no symptoms at all and get every one of those people to come into your practice, now we're growing a chiropractic practice. And boy, I'll tell you,
Right.
that's the lesson. That's the game.
It's something that just hit me as you said that. Being able to show what is possible, right? Being able to show what you because a lot of people don't see what you've seen. Like, you were talking, you said, you didn't understand. You didn't understand how someone could not be on fire with chiropractic. You didn't understand how someone wasn't flooded. Like, what do you mean you're not seeing patients? What do you mean you're not like I don't get it. What do you mean? Like, so being able to show people what is actually possible, right? And a lot of times people have to go by faith. They have to go by trust.
Yeah.
I have, one of my favorite things with our boys is we love going, fall time, we love going on fall leaf drives. And, we have a couple of patients who I could just tell they're getting inundated. They're getting stressed. Like, listen, like, what do you love to do? Doc, I love being able to get out in nature. I haven't been able to do it. And I had one guy said, and plus, I mean, we're here in Colorado. I mean, gorgeous state. And he said, there's nothing around me. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing. I'd have to drive 2 or 3 hours to find something. And I said, let me help you here. I said, within 20 minutes of your home, here are 4 locations that you could go on a beautiful drive. And I said, and I want you to go this weekend and tell me, and just tell me what you thought about it. And I got an email back in tears. It's like, as I write this, Doc, I am in tears. I didn't realize how much beauty was around me because I was so closed off to everything. I had no idea that 20 minutes away from me was this oasis, right? This haven of beauty. I had no idea. I love seeing that in my practice. The patient that just started yesterday never had chiropractic care. He's actually the bishop of my church. Never had chiropractic care. Super smart guy, very healthy guy. I mean, incredibly healthy. And I sold him what he wanted. He came in, he's like, Doc, I'm on my 9th day of this back thing. I don't know what it is. Is this a chiropractic thing? Came into consultation, showed him what the problem was. But as we started to educate and show him all the possibilities, that, hey, this same nerve that's causing these issues, it also can create these other issues. Hey, any issues there? And he's like, yes. And I said, do they predate your back pain by like years and years? Yeah. Yeah. He's like, we were told that, and then all of a sudden so yesterday, so he told me, he's like, I got a client at 11 o'clock. I got to be out of here. And so 11:15, 11:30, I'm like, hey, are you okay? He's like, oh, I've actually loaded. So he's talking to the front desk. He's talking to people in the waiting room. He's like, I am blown away. He goes, by what you just shared. You told me that my back pain, that we're going to be able to solve these issues and that, or that I'm going to be able to function better. He goes, I mean, do I already feel better? He goes, yeah, I feel better. He goes, but I can't believe I haven't had this happen. And my team said he just scheduled his 4 boys. He just scheduled his wife. We just had all these great things happen because we led him, right? We led him in to show him what is possible, right? Doc, share what is possible. Now, not only do you need to do this with your practice member, you need to do this with your team. Are you leading your team? Are you educating your team and showing them what is possible? You know what you know, but does your team? Does your team know that? I've suffered some head and neck injuries to the point where there's times where I cannot be in my practice, where I have to be able to take time to heal. And thank heaven I have an incredible team, but I love it. I love it when my team shares with me wins and say, Doc, look at this win that was just shared. They're going to leave a Google review, but look at this win. And I say, well, how did that win come to be? Well, they shared this with me. I shared this chiropractic principle with them. Now look at this conversation that just happened, right? Does your team know what you know? So how do you, Doc, so how do you, Joe, how do you share, what are some of the successful principles that we'll finish off with that you have found that have allowed chiropractors to, instead of just growing linearly by themselves, to grow exponentially by having an incredible team? What are some of the principles that you have found to be the most successful in allowing teams to create their passion for chiropractic?
The first thing, Alexander the Great, the Greek, obviously the Greek general, probably one of the greatest generals that we know of, right? And he took a legion of men across to Persia from Greece. And to really feel what that's like, there weren't roads. He didn't have planes. He didn't have Apache helicopters or Humvees. He had to climb mountains with camels and horses and no Gore-Tex. There everything's heavy and bulky. I mean, no communication devices and no porta potties. I mean, you really start to think about what that. I can't even imagine what that would have been like. I mean, you can only kind of imagine, and to be there for years. And when you read about him and you understand more about what he was about, you understand his success was he constantly shared his mission, his purpose, and why with his men. And if we do that with our team, a really good thing, two things. One, ask your staff what your mission, purpose, and why is. If they don't know, that's on you, and that's okay, but you need to be clear. You should talk about it every week. Here's our mission, purpose, and why, to make a healthier world, to allow every man, woman, and child to live subluxation free so they can have a better expression of innate and a better connection to source and a better connection to God. Like, you should know what your mission and purpose is. Your staff should know that. Number two, you want to have a good team. Ask your team individually to describe what chiropractic is. And it doesn't mean one person's right or wrong, but congruency is clarity and power. If I go up to one of my staff and she says this, and I go up to another staff and she says it this way, and I say it to somebody else and they say it differently, then that's the messages that your office members, your practice members are getting. So they're getting 3, 4, 5 different ways rather than a concise level of clarity and communication each time they walk into your practice. So if everyone is saying the same thing, if everyone's using the same analogy, if everyone's following at least some level of script, man, I got clarity, I got congruency, I've got power. Power to what? Power to influence, power to lead, power to motivate. Now I got more and more people in that family coming in. Hey, who do you love and care about that you'd love to see under care in this office and improve their health? That's a great, rather than saying, well, who do you know that needs chiropractic care? Everybody needs chiropractic care. A dentist doesn't go, who do you know needs a dentist? A barber doesn't go, who do you know needs a barber, right? So the same idea. They need lifetime care. It's a requirement and a necessity. Who do you know and love? Who do you know and love that you would love to see benefit from better health, and you'd love to see us take care of them? Boom. Now I'm asking the right question. They're going to reform more people in, and my staff is all saying the same thing and describing it the same way I do. All of a sudden, your practice starts to explode.
Huge. Wow. I love, congruency in your message and team is clarity and power. That is huge. Doc, can you answer that question? Right? Can you ask your team member, what is our mission? Can they share what your mission is? Can they share what your vision is? Can they share what chiropractic is? If so, good on you. Let's keep growing. If not, that has to be critical, right? You have to be an evangelist. You have to be the leader, like Alexander the Great, like Dr. Joe. You have to be the one who is leading your team. Leaders eat last, right? You have to be sure that you are leading, that that any success that comes into your practice, that is an exact mirror of your team. You need to reflect on your team. Every failure, you take it upon yourself, and then you share with your team, how can we improve these things? Here's where I failed. Here's how we can improve these things. But you need to be able to lead your team. If you're not sharing it, they won't do that. So in your trainings, in your meetings, in your huddles, be sharing these messages, these messages, because that is going to create clarity, and your vision and your mission is going to become about the person that is crossing that street unknowingly, that there is danger, and you will find that your passion is able to get ignited. Joe, man, we're going to have to do a couple of part series with this, but thank you so much for being on the Chiropractors Edge today, man. For those you guys who would like to be able to talk with Joe, so go to, so obviously you can look up, Dr. Joe Borio, you can look him up. You can look up Chiropassion Consulting to be able to connect with him and connect, because if Joe can help you, he'll tell you that he can help you. If not, he might point you in the direction of another great, and that could be based off your philosophy, your technique, or whatever it is. But Doc, you need a mentor, you need a coach, you need someone who can be able to teach you and show you where you are having success so you can double down on that, or where you have wavered off the path to get you back on that path. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, get that passion back. You have everything. You have every right to be able to have an abundance of happiness and joy in your life. And when you are passionate about that, money will come. I just had a client tell me, I hear all your podcasts, and sure is great. I always hear all these rich people say that money isn't everything. Well, and I say, well, why do you think they say that? Because they're passionate about what they do. They're congruent with their vision and their mission. So money has come to them in abundance, massive abundance. So, Doc, money will come when you are passionate. So connect with Joe. And again, we're here at the Chiropractors Edge to help serve you, to ignite your passion to save lives. Dr. Joe, thanks for being on the podcast today, brother.
Yeah, one last thing. You said something I just want to add to. Zig Ziglar used to say, you want to make $100,000, serve 100,000 people. You want to make $1 million, serve 1 million. You want to make $1 billion, serve 1 billion. So again, don't look at what I have and what I don't have. Look outside yourself from within. What can I do to serve other people? And if you're a chiropractor, serve them as a chiropractor, the best chiropractor you can. If you're a financial guy, you're an accountant, you're a dentist, be the best you can. In this case, I'm a chiropractor. I want to be the best chiropractor I can, serve other people, and the money follows. And other people often look at the end game. Wow, look at all the money you have, look at all the success. They don't see all the sacrifice and challenges and traumas and failures and nights you went to bed crying because you had such a lousy day, whatever, right? But that's okay. That's okay. That's our journey. But connect yourself to being a person of value. Man, I'll tell you, the rest of it all happens as it's intended.
It does. Bring value, solve people's problems. You'll be paid for that, and you'll be paid for it handsomely 100%. To be able to do what you're born to do. So thank you so much, brother. Love and appreciate you.
Honored. Thank you.